Washington, D.C., June 27, 1941. 14 days before the German embassy closes forever. The Duquesne spy ring fell last night. 33 arrests across 8 cities. The largest espionage takedown in American history. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover's men swept through New York, Philadelphia, and Miami like a knife through silk. Every German agent, every courier, every sympathizer, gone. By dawn, their photographs covered every newspaper in America. Hans Thompson stands at his office window on Massachusetts Avenue, holding the Washington Post with trembling hands. The headline screams in block letters, "Nazi spy ring smashed." Beneath it, rows of mugshots. People he knew. People who attended the same diplomatic receptions. One of them, a woman named Lily Stein, smiled at him at a Christmas party 6 months ago. They are all going to die. The German embassy has been under FBI surveillance since 1940. Wiretaps on every phone line, agents watching every door. Roosevelt personally authorized it. Thompson knows this. Every diplomat in the building knows this. But knowing you are being watched and seeing what happens when they actually move, those are different things entirely. Thompson served as charge d'affaires since 1938, the highest-ranking German official in America after the ambassador was recalled. 3 years of walking a tightrope. 3 years of representing a government he no longer believes in. And now, the tightrope is on fire. His telephone rings. He stares at it for 3 seconds before picking up. Every call is recorded. "Thompson," says the voice in German. It is Eduard Respondek, calling from the consulate annex 2 blocks away. "Have you seen the papers?" "I have seen them. They will come for us next. You understand this. After the embassy closes, we are all suspects. Every German diplomat in America becomes a potential spy." Thompson closes his eyes. The embassy is scheduled to shut down in 2 weeks when Germany and the United States sever diplomatic relations. After that, they will be escorted to internment camps or shipped back to Germany on neutral vessels. Either option is a death sentence for what he is about to do. "We need to talk," Respondek says. "Not here. Not on the phone." Thompson hangs up without answering. He walks to his desk, unlocks the bottom drawer, and removes a sealed envelope. Inside is a decoded message that arrived via diplomatic pouch 4 days ago. He has read it so many times he has memorized every word. The message is from Adam von Trott-Zusolz in Berlin, a lawyer, a diplomat, a Rhodes Scholar who studied at Oxford and has American friends in high places. Trott visited the United States in 1939, just before the war started, trying to convince American officials that not all Germans supported Hitler. He met with people in Roosevelt's administration, under Secretary of State George Messersmith, even tried to reach the president himself. He failed. Everyone thought he was a Nazi agent. But Trott was not working for Hitler. He was working against him. The message in Thompson's hand contains 4 sentences. A group of Wehrmacht officers is planning to kill Hitler. They need the Americans to understand that a new government will negotiate peace. They need a backdoor channel to Roosevelt. They need it now, before the embassy closes and the connection is lost forever. Thompson reads the last line again. "The Gestapo calls us the Schwarze Kapelle. They are hunting us. If this fails, we all die. The Black Orchestra. That is what the Gestapo named them, the conspiracy of generals and diplomats who dare to oppose the Führer. Gestapo agents have already infiltrated resistance groups inside Germany, recording names, listening to phone calls, building lists. Thousands will be arrested when this is over. Thousands will be tortured and executed. But if they succeed, if they actually kill Hitler and take control of Berlin, The war could end on different terms. Not unconditional surrender. Not total destruction. A negotiated peace with a new German government. Maybe even an alliance against the Soviet Union. That is the plan. That is the impossible, desperate, suicidal plan. And Thompson is supposed to make it happen from Washington, D.C. in the next 14 days, while the FBI watches his every move. Someone knocks on the door. 3 short raps. Thompson burns the message in his ashtray, crushing the ashes with a pen until they are powder. "Come in," he says. The door opens. A man in his 30s enters, thin face, wire-rimmed glasses, the look of someone who has not slept in days. His name is Klaus Hugel, 3rd secretary to the military attaché. He closes the door very carefully, the way you close a door when you know people are listening on the other side. "We have a problem," Hugel says quietly. "We have many problems. This one is immediate." Hugel pulls out a folded paper from his jacket. "I received this 1 hour ago through a Swiss intermediary. It is from my cousin in the Wehrmacht. He is part of the planning group. He says the Gestapo arrested someone in their network last week, a colonel in Berlin. They are interrogating him now." Thompson feels his chest tighten. Do they have names? Not yet, but they will. My cousin says we must assume they will break him within days, maybe hours. When that happens, anyone connected to the plot will be arrested, including people who made contact with foreign governments, including us. The room seems to contract. Thompson can hear his own heartbeat. If the Gestapo discovers that diplomats in Washington are involved in a plot to kill Hitler, they will send agents to America. Neutral territory means nothing to the Gestapo. They will find a way. And if they cannot reach Thompson before he leaves America, they will take his family in Berlin instead. His daughter is 9 years old. How many people in this embassy know about the plan? Hugel asks. Thompson considers lying, then realizes there is no point. 3 others. Respondek, who you know, Friedrich von Boedeker, the military attaché, and someone in the cultural section who has academic connections. 4 people. 4 Germans in Washington trying to overthrow their own government by making a deal with their enemy, while the FBI records every phone call and the Gestapo tortures confessions out of officers in Berlin. Hugel sits down without being invited. His hands are shaking. I need to know if we are continuing. Because if we are, I need to get my wife out of Germany now. Today. Before they connect me to this. Thompson does not answer immediately. Through the window, he can see the black Ford sedan parked across the street. FBI surveillance. 2 agents inside, watching the embassy, writing down everyone who comes and goes. They have been there every day for a year. If he walks away now, nothing happens. The embassy closes. He goes to an internment camp for a few months. Maybe he gets exchanged for American diplomats trapped in Germany. Maybe he just waits out the war in comfort while millions die. Or he can try to end it. He thinks about the Duquesne ring. 33 people arrested in one night. Hoover did not hesitate, did not negotiate, just rolled them up like a carpet and threw them in cells. Some will be executed. The rest will rot in prison until the war ends. That will be Thompson's fate if this goes wrong. That will be all their fates. But if it goes right, we continue, Thompson says. Hugel nods slowly, like a man accepting a death sentence. Then we need to move faster. We have days, not weeks. The Gestapo does not wait. Thompson opens his desk drawer again and removes a leather notebook. Inside are 3 names, written in pencil, so they can be erased quickly. 3 Americans who might, possibly maybe if God is merciful, be willing to carry a message to Roosevelt. One is Alan Dulles, who runs OSS operations in Switzerland and has met with German resistance members before. But Dulles is too obvious, too watched. Another is an academic from Yale who knows Trott from Oxford days. But academics talk. The third name is different. A businessman with connections to the White House through his brother who works in the War Department. Not famous, not political, just someone who might listen, if approached correctly. Thompson circles the name. We approach him tomorrow. No phones. No written messages. Face to face. The FBI will follow you, Hugel says. I know. Then how? We make them think it is something else. A social call. A farewell drink before the embassy closes. Something innocent. Nothing is innocent anymore, Hugel says. Not for us. He is right. The moment they decided to join the Black Orchestra, they stopped being diplomats and became traitors. Traitors to Hitler. Maybe traitors to Germany. Definitely traitors to someone. But Thompson thinks about his daughter. He thinks about cities burning. He thinks about reports coming from the East. Reports of things being done to civilians, things that will haunt Germany for 100 years. Someone has to try. Get Respondek, Thompson says. Tell him to meet me at the Mayflower Hotel bar at 8 tonight. Tell him to come alone and to assume he is being followed. We will make the approach tomorrow, and we will have one chance to get this right. Hugel stands, buttons his jacket, and walks to the door. He pauses with his hand on the handle. Do you think they can actually do it? He asks. Kill Hitler, I mean? Thompson looks at the ashes in his ashtray, the burned message, the destroyed evidence. I do not know, but if they do not try, Germany will be destroyed completely. Every city, every person, everything will burn. At least this way, we have a chance. Hugel leaves. The door clicks shut. Thompson sits alone in the gathering afternoon light, listening to the sounds of Massachusetts Avenue below. Cars passing, people walking. A city at peace, while half the world tears itself apart. In 14 days, the embassy closes. In Berlin, officers are planning to plant a bomb in Hitler's headquarters. In Gestapo cells, men are being tortured for names. And here, in Washington, a middle-aged diplomat with a 9-year-old daughter is about to commit treason. The telephone rings again. Thompson lets it ring 4 times before answering. The voice on the other end speaks in English. Mr. Thompson, this is Special Agent Crawford with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We would like to schedule a time to speak with you regarding your status after the embassy closure. Thompson's blood turns to ice. Of course, he says calmly. When would be convenient? Monday morning, 10 o'clock. Federal Building. That is 3 days from now. 3 days before everything either works or collapses completely. I will be there, Thompson says. He hangs up. His hand is steady. Years of diplomatic training keep his voice level, his expression neutral. But inside, the clock is ticking faster now. Outside, the black Ford sedan is still watching. And somewhere in Berlin, the Black Orchestra is playing its final notes. Washington, D.C., June 28, 1941. 13 days until the embassy closes. The Mayflower Hotel bar is full of whispers and cigarette smoke. Edward Respondek sits at a corner booth with a glass of bourbon he has not touched, watching the door like a man waiting for the police. Every 5 minutes, someone new walks in, and his shoulders tense until he confirms it is not who he fears. Hans Thompson enters at 8:17, 17 minutes late, deliberately. If the FBI is watching, and they are always watching, delays create the appearance of spontaneity, of casual meetings rather than planned conspiracies. He spots Respondek and walks over with the easy confidence of a diplomat who has nothing to hide. They shake hands, exchange pleasantries in English, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. The weather, the news from Europe, the regrettable closure of the embassy. Two Germans having a farewell drink before being shipped home. Then Thompson leans forward and switches to German, speaking barely above a whisper. The FBI called me this morning. They want to interview me Monday. Respondek's face goes pale. What did they ask? Nothing yet. Just scheduling. But they are closing in. The Duquesne arrests spooked Hoover. He wants every German in America accounted for. Thompson pulls out a folded newspaper and slides it across the table. Inside the fold is a thin piece of paper, no bigger than a business card, covered in pencil writing so small it is nearly illegible. Respondek palms it without looking down. That came through the Swiss consulate this morning, Thompson says. From Bern, Alan Dulles. The name hangs between them like a lifeline or a noose. Alan Dulles, American lawyer, OSS officer, currently stationed in Switzerland as a so-called special assistant to the minister. In reality, he runs intelligence operations for the United States across Central Europe. More importantly, he has been meeting with German resistance figures for months. Respondek unfolds the tiny paper beneath the table and reads by touch more than sight. His expression does not change, but Thompson sees his jaw tighten. They made contact, Respondek whispers. Adam von Trott met with Dulles in Switzerland 3 weeks ago, told him about the plot, told him that Wehrmacht officers are planning to kill Hitler and establish a new government, told him they need Roosevelt to understand that Germany after Hitler will be different. We'll negotiate. We'll even ally against Stalin if the terms are right. And Dulles said what? Thompson asks. He listened. Did not commit. Said he would pass the information to Washington. But, Respondek taps the paper. Trott says Dulles is sympathetic. He understands that a Germany run by generals is better than a Germany run by Nazis. He just needs proof that the resistance is real. Proof, Thompson repeats bitterly. How do we prove a conspiracy that will get everyone killed if exposed? That is the problem. That has always been the problem. The German resistance operates in shadows because the Gestapo hunts them in daylight. Every contact they make is a risk. Every message they send could be intercepted. And now they are asking America to trust them based on whispered promises from strangers. Respondek folds the paper again and slips it into his jacket. There is more. Trott says the Americans want to know who exactly is involved. Names, ranks, units. They want organizational charts. Thompson almost laughs. If we write down names, we create a death list. The moment those names reach the wrong hands, everyone on it dies. Then we give them something else. We give them access. Access to what? To us. The idea settles slowly. Thompson takes a drink of Respondek's bourbon, feeling the burn all the way down. Access. Not names on paper that can be stolen or intercepted. Actual human beings. German officers and diplomats who can testify to the existence of the conspiracy. We cannot bring Americans into Germany, Thompson says. The Gestapo watches every foreigner. And we cannot bring resistance members to America. We have 13 days before the embassy shuts down. Then we use the in-between, Respondek says. Switzerland. Dulles is already there. We send someone from our network to meet him face to face. Someone who can answer questions. Someone who can prove this is real. Who do you suggest? Respondek looks at him steadily. You. The air goes out of Thompson's lungs. Me. You are senior enough to be credible. You have diplomatic credentials. You can claim you are traveling to the Swiss consulate for official business before the embassy closes. And if the Gestapo somehow learns about it, you can say you were trying to establish contacts for after the war. And if the FBI learns about it, Thompson says, they will arrest me for espionage before I reach the airport. Then we make sure they do not learn. Respondek leans back, signaling the waiter for another drink. His voice stays low, but urgency creeps into every word. Thompson, we have 13 days. 13 days before this embassy closes, and we lose our only direct line to the American government. After that, we are cut off. No more diplomatic pouches, no more secure channels, just letters through neutral countries that take weeks to arrive and can be intercepted by anyone. I have a daughter in Berlin, Thompson says quietly. I know. If the Gestapo connects me to this, they will arrest her. I know. Respondek finishes his drink in one swallow. They will arrest all our families. That is the price. That is what we accepted when we joined this. Thompson wants to argue, wants to say there must be another way. But there is not. The clock is ticking in Berlin, where officers are building bombs and recruiting accomplices. It is ticking in Washington, where the FBI is building cases against everyone with a German passport. And it is ticking in his own chest, where a middle-aged diplomat is deciding whether to sacrifice his daughter for a plan that will probably fail. A man enters the bar, 30-ish, dark suit, hard eyes that scan the room like a camera. He spots Thompson and Respondek, and something in his posture shifts. Not much. Just a slight adjustment of his shoulders, a fractional turn of his head. FBI, Respondek breathes. Thompson does not look. Instead, he laughs, too loud, and switches to English. So I said to the ambassador, if you want me to fix the plumbing, you better give me a wrench. Respondek catches on and laughs too. Just two Germans sharing an anecdote, nothing suspicious. The FBI agent takes a seat at the bar, 3 stools down from them, and orders a drink. He does not look their direction again. Does not need to. His presence is the message. We are watching. We are always watching. Thompson finishes his drink and stands. Well, my friend, I should let you get home. Long day tomorrow. They shake hands again. To anyone watching, just a cordial goodbye. But Respondek's grip is tight, urgent. Think about Switzerland, he says in German, so quiet only Thompson can hear. We may not get another chance. Thompson leaves the hotel and walks 6 blocks before hailing a taxi. Basic counter-surveillance. Make them work for it. Make them commit resources to tracking one middle-aged diplomat through the streets of Washington. But, as he rides back to the embassy, he knows it does not matter. The FBI has infinite resources. Hoover personally oversees German surveillance. Every phone tapped, every room bugged, every letter opened and photographed before being resealed. If Thompson tries to go to Switzerland, they will know. Unless an idea forms, dangerous, insane. But maybe the only option left. What if he does not hide the trip? What if he announces it? The next morning, Thompson walks into the State Department at 9:30. He has an appointment with George Brandt, Assistant Chief of the Division of European Affairs. They know each other from diplomatic receptions, have shared small talk about weather and baseball. The social lubrication that keeps international relations functioning. Brandt receives him in an office with windows overlooking Pennsylvania Avenue. Coffee is offered. Declined. They sit. "Mr. Thompson," Brandt says, "I understand the embassy is finalizing closure arrangements." "We are." Thompson crosses his legs, projecting calm he does not feel. "Which is why I wanted to speak with you. I have a request that may seem unusual given current circumstances." "Go on. I need to travel to Switzerland before we leave. The Swiss consulate is handling some of our documentation for German nationals who will remain in America after the embassy closes. I need to coordinate directly with their staff in Bern." It is a plausible lie. Consulates do handle documentation. Coordination is necessary. But Brandt is not stupid. "Why you specifically?" Brandt asks. "Cannot this be done by letter or telegraph? Some matters require face-to-face discussion." "Legal complexities." Thompson lets a hint of frustration enter his voice. "Look, I understand this is sensitive. You can assign FBI escorts if you like. I just need 3 days in Bern to finalize arrangements." Brandt writes something on a notepad. His face reveals nothing. "I will need to clear this with several departments. State, Justice, possibly the White House. Given the Duquesne situation, any foreign travel by German nationals is being scrutinized." "I understand." Thompson stands. "I appreciate your consideration. Time is short. The embassy closes in less than 2 weeks. I will have an answer by Monday." They shake hands. Thompson leaves, walking past secretaries and clerks who look at him like he is already a prisoner. Which, in a sense, he is. 3 hours later, a black Chevrolet pulls up outside the embassy. 2 men in suits get out. They do not announce themselves. They do not need to. The receptionist calls Thompson's office. "Sir, there are federal agents here to see you." Thompson's stomach drops. This is it. They know. Somehow they know. But when the agents enter, they are polite, professional. The older one, gray hair and a face like granite, introduces himself as Special Agent Donnelly. "Mr. Thompson, we understand you requested travel to Switzerland." "Already. Thompson requested it 3 hours ago, and the FBI already knows. Either Brandt reported it immediately or the State Department office is bugged." "Probably both." "That is correct," Thompson says carefully. "For what purpose?" "Consular coordination, documentation for German nationals remaining in the United States." Donnelly writes this down. "How long do you intend to be gone?" 3 days. 4 at most. "Who will you be meeting in Bern?" "Swiss consular officials." "I can provide names if—" "That will not be necessary." Donnelly closes his notebook. "Mr. Thompson, I am sure you understand that any travel by German diplomatic personnel requires extensive vetting. We will need a complete itinerary, all planned meetings, hotels, transportation. Everything." "Of course." Thompson keeps his voice steady. "I have nothing to hide. The lie sits between them like a third person in the room. We will also require that you travel with an FBI observer," Donnelly continues. "For your safety as much as anything. These are dangerous times. An FBI observer, a shadow, a guard. Someone who will watch every meeting, report every conversation, follow him to Dulles' door, and blow the entire operation." Thompson nods slowly. "If that is the requirement, I understand." Donnelly stands. "We will have a decision by Monday. In the meantime, please do not make any travel arrangements." After they leave, Thompson sits in the heavy silence. The plan is already collapsing. He cannot meet Dulles with FBI surveillance, cannot pass information with American agents listening, cannot do anything except exactly what they expect him to do. Unless... Another idea, smaller, more dangerous. That evening, Thomson meets Friedrich von Butticher in a park 6 blocks from the embassy. Butticher is 58, gray-haired, a career military officer who served as military attaché to the United States for years. More importantly, he has contacts in the American War Department, officers he trained with, men who respect him despite the war. Butticher listens to Thomson's problem, then nods slowly. "You cannot go to Switzerland," Butticher says. "Not with FBI escorts. The moment you meet Dulles, they will arrest you both." "I know. But Dulles is not the only channel." OSS reports to William Donovan. Donovan reports to Roosevelt through Harry Hopkins. If we can reach Hopkins, we bypass Dulles entirely. "Hopkins is in the White House," Thomson says. "We cannot just walk in and ask for a meeting." "No, but we can reach someone who knows him." Butticher pulls out a small address book. "I have a name. Colonel William Quinn, War Department Intelligence. I worked with him when I was attaché. He is not OSS, but he coordinates with them. More importantly, he has Hopkins's ear on intelligence matters. And you think Quinn will meet with you, if I frame it correctly." Butticher looks at the sky, where clouds are gathering over the Potomac. "I will tell him I have information about German military readiness, that I am willing to defect, but I need assurances. That gets me in the door. Once I am inside, I pass the real message, that you represent a conspiracy to kill Hitler, that there are elements in the German military who want to end the war on negotiated terms, that they need to know if Roosevelt will listen. Thomson considers this. It is cleaner than Switzerland. No travel, no FBI escorts. Just one meeting in Washington with an American intelligence officer who might carry the message upward." "When?" Thomson asks. "Tomorrow, before the FBI interview Monday, before they restrict our movements further." Butticher stands, buttons his coat. "I have given Germany 30 years of service. I wore the uniform with pride. But if we do not stop Hitler now, there will be no Germany left to serve, just ashes and guilt." He walks away, disappearing into the evening crowd. Thomson sits alone on the park bench, watching families walk past. Children laughing, couples holding hands. People who do not know that 13 days from now the last official channel between Germany and America will close. 13 days to make contact. 13 days to prove the conspiracy is real. 13 days before the Black Orchestra plays its final note, and everyone involved either saves Germany or dies trying. Thomson stands and walks back toward the embassy. Across the street, a black Ford sedan pulls away from the curb and follows at a distance. Always watching, always waiting. And time is running out. Washington, D.C., June 30th, 1941. 11 days until the embassy closes. Colonel Friedrich von Butticher walks into the War Department building at 0900 hours carrying a leather briefcase and the weight of Germany's future. He has done this walk 1,000 times during his years as military attaché, but today the marble corridors feel different. Every secretary who glances his way, every officer who passes without acknowledgement. Everyone knows Germany and America are days away from complete severance. The guard at the security desk checks his credentials twice, takes longer than necessary, makes him wait while a supervisor is called. This is new. This is hostility wrapped in procedure. Finally, he is cleared. Escorted by a young lieutenant who walks 3 steps ahead like Butticher might bolt for the exits, they climb 2 flights of stairs to an office marked only by a room number. No name, no title, just a door. The lieutenant knocks twice, and opens without waiting for response. Inside, a man sits behind a government-issue desk covered with folders stamped "Confidential" and "Secret." He is 44 years old, silver-haired, with the bearing of someone who spent too much time around Franklin Roosevelt and absorbed his confidence by proximity. His name is Harry Hopkins, and he is the second most powerful man in America. Bowdisher stops in the doorway, momentarily thrown. He expected a mid-level intelligence officer, someone who coordinates War Department operations, someone he could maneuver. Instead, Roosevelt sent his closest advisor. "Colonel Bowdisher," Hopkins says, without standing. His voice is flat, revealing nothing. "Please sit." The lieutenant leaves and closes the door. Bowdisher hears the lock click. He sits in the chair opposite Hopkins and sets his briefcase on the floor between his feet. "I appreciate you seeing me on short notice." Bowdisher begins in English with only a slight accent. Hopkins lights a cigarette and exhales slowly. The smoke curls between them. "Let me save us both some time, Colonel. You requested this meeting claiming you have intelligence about German military readiness. You suggested you might be interested in providing information to the United States government. That is what your message said. But that is not why you are here." Bowdisher keeps his face neutral, but his pulse accelerates. "You have been military attaché? In Washington for 8 years, Hopkins continues. You know dozens of American officers. You dine with senators. You attend military academy reunions. If you wanted to defect and share intelligence, you would have done it quietly through one of your many contacts. Instead, you went through official channels and requested a formal meeting, which tells me this is not about defection. This is about negotiation." Hopkins taps ash into a tray. "So let me be very clear, Colonel. The policy of the United States government, as stated by President Roosevelt, is unconditional surrender. We will not negotiate peace terms with Nazi Germany. We will not discuss armistice conditions. We will fight until Hitler is defeated or dead. That is not a starting position. That is the only position." Bowdisher lets the silence settle before speaking. "Mr. Hopkins, may I ask you a question? What if Germany were no longer Nazi Germany?" Hopkins' expression does not change, but something flickers in his eyes. "Clarify. What if the government in Berlin were replaced? Not by external invasion, but by internal action. What if Wehrmacht officers removed Hitler and the Nazi leadership and established a new government willing to negotiate in good faith? Then," Hopkins says carefully, "we would be very interested to know who these officers are, what their plans involve, and why we should believe they represent anything other than desperation." Bowdisher opens his briefcase slowly, giving Hopkins time to object. He removes a single sheet of paper, folded once. No names, no dates, just a description, written in precise English. "There is a network," Bowdisher says. "We call it different things. Some say the resistance. The Gestapo calls it the Schwarze Kapelle, the Black Orchestra. It includes Wehrmacht generals, intelligence officers, diplomats, and civilians. They have been planning for months. They intend to assassinate Hitler and seize control of key facilities in Berlin." Hopkins takes the paper but does not read it yet. "And what do they want from us? Assurance that America will negotiate with a post-Hitler government. That you will not demand unconditional surrender if Germany removes the Nazi regime. That you will consider a separate peace that allows Germany to focus on defending against Soviet expansion." Hopkins reads the paper now. His face reveals nothing, But Boetticher sees his eyes track back and forth across the lines. When he finishes, he sets it down and looks at Boetticher for a long moment. "You understand what you are asking," Hopkins says quietly. "You are asking the President of the United States to coordinate with conspirators inside a hostile nation to overthrow that nation's government. If this becomes public, it looks like America is interfering in German internal affairs. If it fails, every person involved will be executed, and we will have blood on our hands. And if it succeeds, we have to explain to Churchill and Stalin why we cut a deal with German generals behind their backs." "I understand," Boetticher says, "which is why this conversation cannot be official, why there can be no written agreements, why everything must be based on trust." "Trust," Hopkins repeats. He stubs out his cigarette with more force than necessary. "Colonel, the last time German officials asked America to trust them, they were annexing Czechoslovakia. Before that, it was remilitarizing the Rhineland. Every promise Germany made since 1933 has been broken. So forgive me if trust is in short supply." Boetticher leans forward, urgency finally breaking through his diplomatic composure. "Mr. Hopkins, I wore the uniform of the German army for 40 years. I have given my life to my country. But the man who controls that country now is destroying it. Every day Hitler remains in power. More cities burn. More soldiers die. More crimes are committed that will stain Germany for generations." "Then kill him," Hopkins says flatly. "You do not need our permission. You do not need our assistance. If your Black Orchestra truly exists, act. Remove Hitler. End the war. Then approach us as a new government, and we will see what terms are possible. It is not that simple." Boetticher's voice drops to barely above a whisper. "If we act without American assurance, we risk a German civil war while fighting on multiple fronts. The SS will not surrender peacefully. Elements of the Wehrmacht remain loyal to Hitler. We could remove one dictator only to plunge Germany into chaos, while Soviet armies advance from the east." "And if you have American assurance," Hopkins asks, "what changes?" "We know there is a future worth fighting for. We know that removing Hitler leads to negotiation, not annihilation. It gives moderate officers a reason to support the coup instead of staying loyal out of fear." Hopkins stands and walks to the window overlooking the Potomac. Outside, Washington bakes in late June heat. Government workers hurry between buildings. Cars navigate Constitution Avenue. A city at peace while the world burns. "How many?" Hopkins asks without turning. "How many what? How many people in your Black Orchestra? How many generals? How many divisions? How much of the Wehrmacht will follow these conspirators?" Boetticher hesitates. This is the question they knew would come, the question they have no good answer for. "Enough," he says, finally. Hopkins turns. "That is not a number, Colonel. I cannot give you numbers. Not names, not units, not organization charts. The Gestapo has already infiltrated resistance groups. They have arrested people. Tortured confessions. Every name I write down is a man who will die if this information falls into the wrong hands. Then you are asking us to commit to supporting a conspiracy. We cannot verify, cannot confirm, and cannot guarantee we'll succeed." Hopkins returns to his desk. "That is not how decisions are made, Colonel. President Roosevelt does not gamble on hope. But William Donovan does. The name hangs in the air like a challenge." Hopkins's expression hardens. "I notice," Boetticher continues, "that Mr. Donovan has been traveling extensively on behalf of the President. England, the Balkans, the Middle East, meeting with resistance groups, coordinating intelligence networks. In fact, I understand he recently submitted a proposal for a new intelligence organization that would operate worldwide and report directly to the president. Hopkins sits very still. You are well informed. I am a military attaché. It is my job to be informed. Boetticher allows himself a small smile. And I know that this new organization, let us call it the Office of Strategic Services, is specifically designed to coordinate with resistance movements in occupied territories, to support groups fighting against Axis powers from within. The OSS does not exist yet, Hopkins says carefully. But it will. Soon. And when it does, Germany will be on its list of targets. So let me propose something, Mr. Hopkins. Do not commit to anything. Do not make promises. Simply pass this information to Mr. Donovan and let him decide if the Black Orchestra is worth investigating. Hopkins lights another cigarette. Outside, a siren wails in the distance. Fire truck or ambulance, impossible to tell. If I pass this to Donovan, Hopkins says slowly, he will want proof. Evidence that this conspiracy exists, that it has resources and planning and a real chance of success. Then let him ask. Boetticher reaches into his briefcase again and removes a second paper. This one contains a single line of text, an address in Switzerland. No name, no explanation. Alan Dulles, Hopkins says immediately. He has been meeting with German contacts in Bern for weeks. Because some of those contacts represent us, Boetticher says. Members of the Black Orchestra have already reached out to your intelligence officers in Switzerland. Adam von Trotz-Usoltz met with Dulles 3 weeks ago. Others will follow. If Donovan wants proof, Dulles already has it. Hopkins studies the address like it might explode. Then he folds both papers and slips them into his jacket pocket. I will consider this, he says. That is not a promise. That is not an agreement. That is consideration. That is all I ask. But understand something, Colonel. Hopkins stands, signaling the meeting is over. If this conspiracy of yours fails, if Hitler survives, if this turns out to be a Gestapo operation to embarrass the United States, there will be consequences. Not just for you. For everyone involved. The FBI is watching every German diplomat in this city. One wrong move, and you will all be arrested as enemy agents. I understand, Boetticher says. He closes his briefcase and stands. May I ask when I might hear a response? You will not. Hopkins walks to the door and unlocks it. If we decide to act on this information, you will know when it happens. Until then, assume the answer is no. The door opens. The young lieutenant stands in the hallway, waiting to escort Boetticher out. But before he leaves, Hopkins speaks one more time. Colonel, why are you doing this? Really? You are risking your career, your freedom, possibly your life. For what? Boetticher looks back at him. Because in 40 years of service, I have seen Germany at its best and its worst. And what is happening now, what Hitler has turned my country into, that is not Germany. That is a nightmare wearing Germany's face. If I can help end that nightmare, even at the cost of everything I have, then at least I will die, knowing I tried. Hopkins nods slowly. Get him out of here, he says to the lieutenant. Boetticher leaves the War Department at 0947, 47 minutes after he entered. An FBI car follows him from 3 blocks back. He can see it in his rearview mirror. Black Chevrolet. 2 agents, always watching. But it does not matter anymore. The message was delivered. The seed was planted. Now they wait to see if it grows or withers. At 1100 hours, Harry Hopkins walks into the Oval Office carrying a folder. President Roosevelt sits behind his desk, reading intelligence briefings with reading glasses perched on his nose. He looks up as Hopkins enters. "How was the German?" Roosevelt asks. Hopkins closes the door before answering. "Interesting. He is part of something, a resistance network inside Germany. They call it the Black Orchestra." Roosevelt removes his glasses. "Tell me." Hopkins spends 15 minutes summarizing the meeting. The plot to kill Hitler. The request for negotiation assurances. The connection to Adam von Trott and Allen Dulles in Switzerland. When he finishes, Roosevelt sits in silence for a long moment. "Do you believe him?" Roosevelt asks finally. "I believe he believes it. Whether the conspiracy is real, whether it can succeed, that I do not know. But Dulles has been reporting contacts with German resistance members for weeks. This corroborates what we are hearing from Switzerland. And if we support them, and they fail, then we have aided a failed coup and handed Hitler a propaganda victory. He will claim America is interfering in German internal affairs. He will execute everyone involved and use it to justify further atrocities. And if we do not support them, and they succeed on their own, then a new German government takes power, and we have no relationship with them. No leverage, no coordination. They make peace with whoever offers the best terms. And that might be Stalin." Roosevelt stands and walks to the window, leaning on his cane. Outside, the rose garden blooms in summer heat. He spent 20 minutes this morning reading casualty reports from the Atlantic. U-boats are sinking American ships faster than they can be replaced. "What does Bill Donovan say?" Roosevelt asks. "I have not told him yet." "Hopkins, we do not have time for games. If Donovan is going to run OSS, he needs to know about every intelligence opportunity, including this one." Roosevelt turns. "Get Bill in here. Show him everything. Let him decide if the Black Orchestra is worth pursuing. But make one thing very clear. We do not negotiate with Hitler. We do not make deals with Nazis. If German generals want to kill Hitler and take his place, fine. We will talk to them after they prove they are serious. But until then, this stays quiet. No public statements, no written commitments, just quiet intelligence coordination through Switzerland." Hopkins nods. "And the German diplomats here in Washington? Watch them. Follow them. Record everything they say and everyone they meet. If this conspiracy is real, they might be useful. If it is a trap, we need evidence for when we arrest them." Roosevelt returns to his desk and picks up another briefing. The meeting is over. Hopkins walks to the door, then pauses. "Franklin, do you think they can actually do it? Kill Hitler?" Roosevelt does not look up. "I think desperate men do desperate things. Whether they succeed depends on courage, planning, and luck. And right now, Germany seems short on all three." Hopkins leaves. The Oval Office door closes. And somewhere in the machinery of government, decisions begin to move. Slowly, carefully, but moving nonetheless. That evening, Hans Thompson receives a phone call at the embassy. No name, no introduction, just a voice, speaking German, with an American accent. "Your friend met with the right people. They are listening. Someone will contact you in Switzerland when the time comes. Until then, be careful. You are being watched." The line goes dead. Thompson sits in his office, holding the receiver long after the dial tone returns. Outside his window, the black Ford sedan is still parked across the street. Still watching. Still waiting. But now at least someone in Washington is listening. The Black Orchestra has an audience, and 11 days remain until everything changes. Washington, D.C., July 20th, 1944. 3 years after the embassy closed. 3 years of silence from Berlin. Hans Thompson sits in a small apartment on the outskirts of the city, listening to the BBC on a shortwave radio tuned low enough that only he can hear. The broadcast crackles through static. British announcers confirm what Reuters wires already reported 2 hours ago. Adolf Hitler survived an assassination attempt at his Wolf's Lair headquarters in East Prussia. A bomb exploded during a staff conference. Colonel Klaus von Stauffenberg planted it. He and 3 others were shot by firing squad within hours. The plot failed. Operation Valkyrie collapsed before it began. Now the Gestapo hunts everyone connected to the conspiracy. Over 7,000 arrests already. Nearly 5,000 executions planned. Sippenhaft laws mean families die too. Wives, children, brothers. Anyone with the wrong blood. Thompson turns off the radio. His hands shake as he pours scotch from a bottle half empty since morning. 3 years ago, he burned every document, every name, every address. He stayed in America after the embassy closed, claiming neutrality, working odd jobs for German expatriates while waiting for the signal that never came. Now that signal will never come. Instead, men he knew in Berlin are being tortured for his name. The telephone rings. Thompson freezes. No one calls him. No one knows this number. He lets it ring 4 times before answering. Thompson, a voice says in German. Low, urgent. It is Eduard Respondek. Get out. Now. What happened? Gestapo raided my office 30 minutes ago. They have arrest warrants. Names from Stauffenberg's papers. Von Bettiker, Hugel, you. They know we met with Hopkins. They know about Dulles in Switzerland. Thompson feels the room tilt. How? Someone talked. Under torture. It does not matter. They are coming for all of us. FBI tipped them off. Hoover shared surveillance files through neutral channels. You have maybe 1 hour. Thompson hangs up. His mind races through options. No passport. No money beyond $300 cash. No safe houses. 3 years underground. And now this. He grabs a packed bag from under the bed, always ready, always paranoid, and slips out the back door. The apartment building is quiet, but across the street a black sedan idles with Virginia plates. FBI. They never stopped watching. Thompson walks 2 blocks, then cuts through an alley. Basic tradecraft from Abwehr training 20 years ago. He emerges on a busier street and hails a taxi going east. To the only place left, Friedrich von Bettiker. Bettiker lives in a rented house in Arlington, posing as a civilian consultant for a shipping firm. Thompson arrives at 11:14, knocking the prearranged signal. 3 short, 2 long. The door opens 6 inches. Bettiker, unshaven, eyes bloodshot. They know, Thompson says. I know. Bettiker pulls him inside and bolts the door. Hugel called from a payphone. Gestapo has his wife's name, his children. They flew agents to Lisbon yesterday. Neutral ground. Intercepted our last courier from Switzerland. The room smells of cigarette smoke and panic. Papers cover the dining table. Decoded telegrams, contact lists, maps of Berlin marked with Valkyrie targets. Bettiker has been burning them all morning, but too slowly. What do we do? Thompson asks. Nothing. It is over. Stauffenberg failed. Himmler controls Berlin. Every resistance cell is compromised. Dulles cabled yesterday. OSS cut all contacts. Roosevelt stayed silent. No support, no comment, just let it die. Bettiker points to the radio. Listen. He turns it on. German state radio blares propaganda. Traitors executed. Hitler lives. The fatherland stands united. Then a list of names. General Ludwig Beck, Field Marshal Erwin von Witzleben, Karl Goerdeler, and more coming. Thompson's name is not there yet, but it will be. A car pulls up outside, tires crunch on gravel, 2 doors slam, American voices, low but authoritative, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Open the door. Bedischer grabs a gasoline can from the kitchen. Thompson understands immediately. They move fast, splashing fuel across papers, floor walls. Bodeker lights a match. Do not go quietly, he says. Make them work for it. The front door splinters under a ram. FBI agents rush in, guns drawn. Smoke billows instantly. Bodeker throws the match. Flames leap 5 feet high. Agents tackle Thompson face first into the carpet. Cuffs snap on wrists. Bodeker fights, lands 1 punch before they pin him. Fire alarms scream. Neighbors gather outside. Special Agent Donnelly, the same man from 3 years ago, reads their rights through the chaos. You are under arrest for conspiracy against the United States government, espionage, contact with enemy agents, aiding a coup attempt against a foreign power. Bodeker spits blood onto the floor. We tried to kill Hitler. Does that not count for anything? Donnelly hauls him up. In Washington, it counts for a prison cell. Roosevelt ignored your plot? Churchill called you desperate officers trying to save your own skins? Now you are just enemy aliens with arson charges. They drag both men into the night. Fire trucks arrive. Neighbors whisper. The black sedan waits to follow. Interrogation room B12, FBI headquarters. Midnight. Thompson sits chained to a metal chair. Donnelly paces. A stenographer records every word. Smoke still clings to Thompson's clothes. You met Harry Hopkins, Donnelly says. June 30th, 1941. War Department conference room. We have the file. We have the transcripts. Thompson says nothing. You passed information about a conspiracy to kill Hitler. Names, plans. You asked for assurances of negotiation. Roosevelt's policy is unconditional surrender. You knew that. Still tried to cut a separate deal. Silence. Across town, Bodeker faces the same questions from different agents. Hugel was arrested at Union Station trying to board a train to New York. Respondek vanished, probably drowned himself in the Potomac. Classic spy exit. Donnelly leans in close. Here is what happens next. Military tribunal. Like the Duquesne Ring. Like Operation Pastorius. Espionage carries the death penalty. Roosevelt commuted 2 saboteurs last year. But you tried to make America betray its allies. Thompson finally speaks. We saved your country from a 2-front war. Hitler gone. Germany turns east. No need for Normandy. No need for 100,000 American dead. Donnelly laughs. Normandy happened 3 months ago. Hitler is alive. And your friends in Berlin? Gestapo executed 4,000 already. More every day. Your daughter? Thompson lunges against the chains. What about my daughter? Lisbon intercept yesterday. Gestapo knows about the Washington cell. Sippenhaft. She is in Ravensburg.ck by now, with the other families. The words break something inside Thompson. He slumps. 9 years old. Gas chambers or worse. Donnelly slides a confession across the table. Sign it. Names, contacts, everything. Maybe Roosevelt shows mercy. Maybe you see trial instead of noose. Thompson stares at the paper. 3 years fighting shadows. 3 years burning evidence. All for this. Across the city, Harry Hopkins reads the arrest report in the White House. Roosevelt glances over his shoulder. Let Hoover handle it, Roosevelt says. No comment on the plot. No deals. Unconditional surrender stands. Hopkins nods. The Black Orchestra played its last note. In Berlin, Gestapo execution chambers work through the night. Firing squads line up. Hangmen test ropes. In Washington, German diplomats sit in cells, listening to victory speeches on the radio. Hitler lives. The Reich endures. Thomson signs the confession at 03:17. His hand does not shake. Outside FBI headquarters, the black sedan drives away empty. Surveillance complete. Mission accomplished. For the Wrong Side, Washington, D.C., August 1945. 1 month after Hiroshima, 2 weeks after VE Day. The war is over. Hitler is dead by his own hand. Germany lies in ruins. Hans Thomson sits in a military tribunal courtroom at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. He is thinner now, face gaunt from 4 months in solitary confinement. Chain around his waist connects to ankle shackles that clank when he shifts. Across the room, Friedrich von Bötticher stares at the floor, gray hair unkempt. Eduard Respondek sits between them, eyes vacant. He surrendered after the arrests, confessed everything. The judge, a stern army colonel, reads the verdict. Charges: conspiracy to undermine United States foreign policy, contact with hostile foreign powers, attempted subversion of unconditional surrender doctrine. Evidence: FBI surveillance logs from 1941. Hopkins meeting transcripts. Burned papers recovered from Bötticher's fire. Swiss cables intercepted by OSS linking them to Dulles. Guilty on all counts. Thomson expected execution. Duquesne spies got life sentences. Pastorius saboteurs got the noose. 2 commuted at the last minute. But Roosevelt is dead. Truman presides now. Cold War whispers fill Washington corridors. Stalin's armies occupy half of Europe. Sentences: 20 years, hard labor. Eligible for review after 5. Bötticher looks up sharply. Your Honor, we fought Hitler. We tried to end the war early. Thousands of American lives could have been saved. The judge's gavel cracks. This court does not recognize foreign conspiracies as mitigating factors. Next case. Outside the courtroom, Special Agent Donnelly waits. He lights Thomson's cigarette. A small mercy. You got lucky, he says. Truman's people want intelligence assets. Your knowledge of Abwehr networks, Gestapo methods, useful against the Soviets now. Thomson inhales deeply. My daughter. Donnelly looks away. Ravensburg? CK liberated by Soviets. Camp records show she arrived July 23, 1944. Died of typhus, October 1944. You are free to confirm with Red Cross. Thomson drops the cigarette. 9 years old. Typhus. Ravensburg. CK. Sippenhaft. Worked exactly as intended. Berlin, October 1945. Nuremberg Tribunal. Prosecutor Robert Jackson reads the conspiracy indictment. Over 5,000 Germans executed after July 20th. Generals hanged with piano wire on Himmler's orders. Families gassed or shot. The Black Orchestra, Schwarze Kapelle, destroyed completely. No mention of Washington diplomats. No mention of Roosevelt contacts. No mention of American negotiations with traitors. Justice Jackson argues Nazi crimes, genocide, aggression, war crimes. Resistance plotters painted as desperate opportunists, not heroes. In a classified OSS memo, declassified 1975, Alan Dulles writes, German contacts in Switzerland confirmed military coup planning. Washington declined engagement due to policy constraints. Post-July 20th, all channels severed. 1952. Cold War peak. Thomson walks free after 7 years. Commuted sentence. Deported to West Germany. No pension, no honors. Just a man who spent his life savings on lawyers. He testifies for Gehlen Organization, former Abwehr officers now working for CIA against Soviets. His interrogators nod knowingly. We knew about your plot. Roosevelt could not touch it. Churchill called you quislings trying to save the Reich. Stalin demanded your heads. Bodeker dies in 1954. Heart attack. Unmarked grave in Arlington Cemetery. No military honors. Respondek returns to Germany 1956. Writes memoirs. Publisher rejects. Too controversial. Americans won't touch Hitler plotters. 1960s. De Gaulle in France. Adenauer in Bonn. Historians publish on July 20th. Stauffenberg becomes hero. Beck sainted. Washington cell? Footnote in one book. Minor diplomatic feelers, ignored by Roosevelt. 1970s. Watergate exposes FBI files. Hoover's surveillance logs surface. Thompson's name redacted. Hopkins meeting classified top secret until 2005. 1980s. Reagan rehabilitates some. Calls Stauffenberg freedom fighter. No mention of American diplomats who risked everything first. 1990s. German reunification. Memorials to plotters everywhere. Washington Embassy plaque lists nothing. 2005. OSS files declassify. Dulles burn cables reveal. Trot Zusolz named Thompson. Bodeker as key contacts. Roosevelt read summaries. Marked monitor no action. 2010s. Historians debate. Could July 20th have ended war sooner, saved Berlin, prevented Soviet domination? Consensus. Allies bound by unconditional surrender. No deals possible. Thompson's grave, small cemetery outside Bonn. Headstone reads simply, Hans Thompson, 1895-1982. Diplomat. No mention of Black Orchestra. No mention of the bomb that failed. No mention of the daughter who died for a country that forgot him. 2025. YouTube documentary plays to 47,000 views. Narrator. The July 20th plot shocked the world. But few know about the forgotten cell in Washington. Diplomats who tried to broker peace with Roosevelt 3 years earlier. Branded traitors by both sides. Their story vanished into classified files. Pause. Black screen. Single question. What if they had succeeded? Credits roll over German resistance memorial footage. Stauffenberg statue. Empty chairs where Washington conspirators should sit. The screen fades to black. The Black Orchestra fell silent 81 years ago. Their music echoes only in shadows.